Hey guys, and welcome back to this channel where we talk about how to design better technology, better applications, better platforms, but also about how to get into the industry and how to survive and thrive even in the industry, because it might not be as straightforward as everybody's probably advertising to you. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to get into the UX without actually getting a UX course done. So there is obviously this trend at the moment to be taking lots of courses, like I'm not gonna mention any names, but you know, there is probably dozens of different courses that you can do that promise you that you will get straight away into UX, which very often is not true, and actually doing just a course sometimes even repels a lot of employers. So you have to be mindful of this, and you have to do your own work in order to get into this industry, and you actually have to be prepared to constantly doing work if you want to stay in this industry and if you want to really make money in this industry and doing really well. So today I'm going to talk about how we can get into the industry without doing any special courses. So when I started many years ago, there actually weren't lots of courses in UX, but also I didn't really have a money, or I didn't really believe that a lot of them would work for me. So I decided to learn everything by myself to begin with. So what I would say today you can do is actually much simpler, because there's lots of stuff available online. First of all, I would really recommend learning the tools. You don't need to learn all of the tools, you just need to learn basic tools. Luckily these days you can use Figma, which is super user-friendly. It's a beautiful tool, it's very easy to use, and there's tons of tutorials on how to use it. So I would start just by watching videos how to actually use Figma. It's also has got a free account which you can use to start playing around with this. Second tool I would strongly recommend is something to do user research, to do design workshops and stuff like that, which could be, for example, Miro, or you can also use FigJam, which is also part of Figma. And you can also utilize that, because basically you need some kind of whiteboard to be able to draw and put sticky notes and stuff like that. But that's secondary. Primary, I would say you need to get to know Figma. Now, once you start playing around with Figma, step number 2 would be just start designing. Of course, user experience is not about designing interfaces as in terms of jumping straight to designs. But if you haven't had a lot of experience and exposure to designing interfaces, you should start doing it as much as possible. So I would strongly recommend start your journey with learning designs by designing mobile apps, because they just sometimes much easier to do than designing the desktop applications, for example. So you can find a lot of templates these days online for designing different apps. You can download some of my templates, they're available on other videos. And basically what I would strongly recommend, just start designing flows in your Figma, just playing around and get used to it, and watching tutorials and understanding it. Because in most jobs, unless you are a UX researcher, you will be required to design good interfaces. That's why I strongly recommend to get on that as quickly as possible. So next step, I would say it's great to find a mentor or a coach who can actually show you the best ways of getting into industry and answer questions, because at the beginning of the journey you will have lots of questions, and you probably will struggle finding anything that it makes sense online. So the best way is to find someone who has been in the industry for a very long time and they can help you. I actually learned most of stuff at the beginning from a couple of people that I was asking and for help, and I think that was the most useful training that I've gotten in my whole life. So I really strongly recommend finding a mentor. You can find some people on YouTube and just follow them. You can also find people on LinkedIn to basically chat to them. A lot of people also run these days mentorship programs, which I would say are much better than actually doing a UX course, because you get to know that person and they get to know you, and they actually can recommend much better solutions specifically for your situation. Okay, so next step, I would say I would work on at least 3 personal projects. Okay, so I would probably pick, if that was me recommending to someone who's starting off, I would say pick 2 apps that you want to design and maybe 1 responsive web platform. So responsive is a bit complicated. That's why I'm saying just start with apps. Just think about what apps you would like to design, and just try to follow the proper UX process. I mean, you can find online lots of information about what is the proper UX process, obviously understanding, okay, what application we want to do, who we're designing it for, what problem actually we're solving for people, who are potential target. Maybe find a couple of people that you can interview that could have that problem. You know, it could be someone even in your family, friends and family circle, although for real projects I really don't recommend asking friends and family. However, if this is for your personal project, so you can start with asking people who are available. Okay, so you can do a little bit of interviews and research around that. You can then analyze the information provided. You can mock up some wireframes or initial screens, do a bit of testing with the actual potential users, and then iterate and have the final solution. So I will talk about the kind of best UX process later on in some other videos, but this is just to give you an idea what you should do. You should pick 3 projects and run them through the UX process, even if the people that you're testing with are friends and family, but just try to stick as much as possible to the real process, how it should be. Now, whilst you're doing that, whilst you're working on those projects, I strongly recommend to start next step as well, which is designing and building your portfolio. There are so many platforms these days that help you build a portfolio very easily. My advice would be don't go crazy, don't over-design or over-engineer your portfolio, because A, it will be very difficult to maintain and update every time you want to add a project. Also, at the beginning, you will be very confused what is the best fonts, what's the best colors and stuff like that. So just keep it very, very simple. Don't over-engineer it. Use big, nice imagery. So when you're working on your private projects, make sure you take pictures of things like user interviews or usability testing, because those things and those artifacts are very useful to be used in your portfolio and tell a story of how you actually work. So simple portfolio, but the content needs to be really good and really thought through. Now, if you're working with a mentor or coach, they will advise you how to lay out the case studies and stuff like that. But otherwise, just keep it very, very simple. Remember that you need to create a story in the use cases where you explain your process. So ideally, you would kind of follow it step by step for each of your projects. So once you have the portfolio done, again, don't spend forever on the portfolio, because I know people who have been working on the portfolio for a year or more. That's not great. Just put yourself in a situation when you have a deadline. Let's just say you have a month to create portfolio and stick all of the stuff in there and stick to that deadline, because otherwise it's endless process. And I know a lot of even senior UX designers who cannot deal with that. Okay, so once you have the portfolio, I strongly recommend then update your LinkedIn profile. If you don't have LinkedIn profile, then create one, because 90% of my jobs, or maybe not even 95% of my jobs, I get through LinkedIn. So just update your profile, make sure your portfolio is there, make sure it contains all of your information. If you manage to get some freelance work, also put it on the LinkedIn. It's a fantastic way of advertising yourself. Put the right keywords in LinkedIn, that you are a UX designer and stuff like that. The majority of people, when I see their profiles, they put literally nothing in LinkedIn, and they just think this is gonna work for them really well, and it's not gonna actually do anything. Next up on LinkedIn, make sure you connect with people. Connect with recruiters, designers that are really good, make sure that you post on LinkedIn, because if you post on LinkedIn, LinkedIn actually rates you higher. So you might be shown in search results more so than people who actually don't post. So make sure you post once a week, once in 2 weeks, something about UX, maybe progress of what you're doing. But just keep it going so it doesn't look like it's a very static profile. Next thing I would recommend is registering with job portals. Make sure that you set up job alerts specifically for your role. So if you are a beginner, try to set up alerts for UX interns, junior UX designers, or just UX designers, depending on requirements. So make sure that you have it set up. The moment you get emails about the jobs, make sure you apply for those jobs. Similarly, on LinkedIn, you can also search for jobs there. Make sure that your profile is really good and apply for those jobs directly from LinkedIn. And my last advice would be just not giving up and constantly applying. Try to apply every day, or at least pick a couple of days a week when you're actually applying for UX jobs. Because if you don't apply, you're not gonna get it. And also don't apply for jobs that are that you're not appropriate for. So if you start applying for midway jobs and stuff like that, if you're just at the beginning of your journey, you might be very disappointed because you're not gonna get any responses. However, if you tailor your cover letter and make sure that you are able to provide the services that the client are looking for, just apply, and don't give up very easily, because this process can be very draining and very annoying. But try different things. You can apply for permanent roles as well as some freelance work. You can search for clients on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very a powerful tool. I will talk about it in some other videos of mine. But for today, I just wanted to reiterate the points that will help you get into UX without getting a UX course done. So first of all, learn the tools. Make sure that you understand how Figma works. Start designing, right? So I said start designing some screens, ideally mobile apps. Find some mentors like LinkedIn, YouTube. Don't follow too many people because you'll get super confused. Maybe get 1 to 3 people that you actually trust and you see they can help you. Work on 3 personal projects, then make sure you follow UX process with those projects and put them in your portfolio. Don't make portfolio complicated. Make it simple so it's easy for you to quickly update it. Update your LinkedIn profile, make sure it's up to date, contains your projects linked to your profile, and add important keywords. Connect with people on LinkedIn, recruiters and other very good designers, hiring managers. Make sure you do that almost every day if you want to have success. Message people, talk to them on LinkedIn, and post as well. And lastly, register with job portals. Make sure you set up job alerts appropriate for what you're looking for, and apply every day, ideally, for the jobs. And I'm sure in a very short time you will get this right call and right interview, and you will get and land that UX job. Okay guys, I hope this was useful. If you have any questions, please comment below. Also, please follow me on LinkedIn, as well as subscribe here on YouTube. I would really appreciate that. And I will see you in the next videos. Bye.